All right, so welcome to the Casual Nerdcast. I am your host, Justin Chu, and joining me today is Alex,
Hey.
Aimal,
What's up?
and Evan.
Ole, 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 oh.
Leave it to Evan to make a great entrance. Okay, so this week was loads and loads of gamer nerd news. I don't even know where to begin.
It was E3. It's fucking like the Christmas, but for us.
Kinda, yeah.
And
Or
then
like,
PAX is like, I don't know, your birthday.
well, no, E3 is more like, here are reasons why I need a job.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start discussing, I guess, our opinions of each conference, kind of discuss the games that are involved, overall impressions, stuff like that. So I guess that means we'll just start in order. So let's start with Microsoft, the first conference. So, where do you guys want to start? What do you guys think about the Microsoft conference?
Well, I thought it was incredibly strong compared to, especially compared to last year. Well, I mean, last year I wouldn't necessarily say that they were weak, but it's just that Sony was so much better. But this year they started incredibly strong, which is exactly what they needed. Before we talk about what they did mention, I just want to point out one thing that they didn't mention. They didn't mention the price drop through the entire conference.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about it at all, which blew me away. Just surprised the crap out of me. Like, I thought that was going to be one of their main points of like, hey guys, so we dropped the price, so this is the year where the Xbox One takes off. No, they just
Actually, a lot of people were surprised that that price drop was announced even before E3, and Phil Spencer was literally like saying like, we actually have to announce it now because we have no room in our conference to announce it. So I think
they definitely proved that because their conference was chock full of crap.
Yeah.
Of good stuff. Crap that was the wrong word.
Oh, first off, what do you guys think of Call of Duty? I don't know if it's just me, but I was kind of impressed. Well, besides the fact there were some overpowered gimmicks such as lowerable windows that can peek you through like riot shields, but besides that, I felt like it was actually somewhat impressive. I actually felt like, wow, Call of Duty is actually going somewhere for once.
I think this is probably the best chance that they have to do that because I mean, like new console generation. I mean, this is probably. So, I'm sorry if you guys are Call of Duty fans. I'm not. So I'm gonna make this joke. That this is the
Go
one.
for it.
If they're going to, increase anything, they're going to do it for the first game of a new generation, and then they're just gonna keep on remaking that game for the next 6 years.
Yep.
So this is
You kinda
basically
hit
the
the
Call
nail
of
right
Duty.
there,
This is basically the Call of Duty template for the next 6 years.
This is this generation's Call of Duty 4.
Yeah,
Potentially. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, the one thing that is really interesting about this Call of Duty in particular is that it's the first one that's on a 3-year cycle, and it's also made by like a new studio. So I think it was refreshing to see what I saw, and I really hope they keep the UI the way it was presented, because that was simplistic and fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did not think the Call of Duty trailer was good at all. I think they copied like everything from it is like Titanfall. Like they have like that stupid double jump thing now. It looks really dumb. Like it just basically felt like another copy of Titanfall to me.
I think it was less of Titanfall, more of Crisis. Because there's a direct correlation between like them wearing a suit and having superpowers than Titanfall. Titanfall, yeah, has the parkour and has like the jumping around stuff, and it did have that kind of futuristic Titanfall feel. But I can see where you're coming from with that, and I think it geared a bit more towards Crisis. It has like the suit kind of selection power stuff. I don't know. It was refreshing to see. I guess a slight variation in what we've typically seen as just a straight up military shooter.
Well, I find it funny though because so Call of Duty 4 was one of the first games to break the World War II Vietnam craze that was happening
Right.
early to mid 2000s, right? Where all we were seeing were World War II games. I mean, I don't know how many Nazis you killed in your life, but it's a metric shitload. And now we've actually been seeing that a lot over the past couple of years with modern military shooters. So it's almost like Call of Duty's trying to break the form. Well, they're not really breaking the form because there's been a lot of futuristic shooters, but I feel like a lot of these companies are moving into that era now of just like, you know, near future shooters of this tech is kind of here, but it's kind of not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the kind of future. I mean, we can definitely see that in like Civ After Earth, or sorry.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Whatever the subtitle of that is.
Oh, that looks so good.
We're definitely seeing that in. We're definitely seeing that. I definitely see that shift happening. But was there anything that really stuck out for you guys in the Microsoft conference that you thought was wow?
I was more so just impressed with so the two games that I loved the most, absolutely. I'm always interested about Dragon Age, but the things that surprised me and actually kind of make me want to grab an Xbox One, Sunset Overdrive looks fucking gorgeous. Man, that game looks good. And also actually Scalebound. I don't know if you guys are Platinum fans at all.
Can you name some examples of things that have come out from them?
Bayonetta, Vanquish,
Bayonetta?
Used to be Clover. Yeah, Bayonetta. They used to be Clover Studios, sort of. Like Clover Studios used to be for Capcom, and then they kind of got split. And while being Clover, they made Okami, God Hand, all the Beautiful Joe games. They're probably one of my favorite video game companies. They're just
so
amazing.
Wait, who's making Bayonetta now then?
I think it's Bayonetta 2's Platinum.
Oh, so
they also made Metal Gear. They also made Metal Gear Revengeance.
So
gotcha.
So Platinum is just doesn't really have a platform of choice. They just kind of go wherever they want then, right?
Yeah, they do whatever. I mean, like they've made Mad World was a Wii exclusive. They made a DS exclusive, Infinite Space. Yeah, they kind of just do whatever they want. And Scalebound, I kind of have to buy an Xbox One now. Shit. Man, so it was Platinum Games does one. They do combat and just like quick, fast controls that you know you have control over better than almost anybody in the industry. Vanquish and Bayonetta kind of drive that point home, and even Metal Gear Revengeance, right? Like, whether or not you like that game as a Metal Gear game, it's still a phenomenal hack and slash game, right? They're just a wonderful company, and I want to suck Shinji Mikami's dick or something. God. Yeah, those are the two. Oh, and also, I mean, what else? I mean, Rise of the Tomb Raider was good, but that's coming out for all systems and stuff.
Why was that part
those...
of Microsoft's?
Well, I mean, why was GTA 5 part of Sony's, right? It's just
so it's just
they have the rights to announce it.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good point. Because a couple of other games were, correct me if I'm wrong, they were talking about how there'll be timed exclusives for Call of Duty, and Forza's Xbox exclusive anyway. But like a couple of the games had Xbox exclusives, that's why they mentioned them. But no, you're right. They just have the rights to talk about it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just the guys. I mean, Microsoft has always been one to use their money hat.
Sure enough.
Where they just kind of go like, here's money 30 days earlier on ours. But
good point.
Yeah.
All right. So, Aimal, Alex, what do you guys think about Microsoft? Was there anything in particular that really caught your attention?
You first.
Me first.
You first.
I mean, I think their conference was really good. I don't think they had like one standout thing, but if I had to choose something, I would, I'm gonna be biased and choose the Halo collection. Like, I think it's really cool that they're bringing back like all of the old Halo 2 servers, like the exact same way the exact same that they used to be. So.
Were you guys surprised that Halo Wars, ODST, and Reach weren't in the package?
No, because
I wasn't entirely surprised because the package was entitled the Master Chief Collection, and I feel like I feel like that Reach, ODST, those were more of spin-offs rather than like Reach was okay. Don't get me wrong, Reach is very important in like the Halo universe. Reach is the main reason why we're all fighting this war and stuff. Well, we're fighting this war. Wow, I make it sound like I'm involved here. But I mean, and Halo Wars, like it's
terrible.
It's
well, it wasn't as good as it could have been. No, Halo Wars is definitely the worst of them. But I mean, for me, so I'm not as big of a Halo fan as you guys are. But for me personally, ODST and Reach are actually my two favorite Halo games by far.
I enjoyed Reach a lot. I'll be honest. Reach was one of the things where I actually felt the story was, and I actually felt pity and really sad, and just having people die one by one as you're trying to get from point A to point B. It's like Left 4 Dead, except there's a bigger group of people, but you're really leaving them for dead.
And I mean, we won't spoil it, but that ending.
Yeah.
Oh, that ending. That was so good. So
I'd
good.
say that was the best way to end it. I definitely like games usually have, especially sci-fi in general. It's always really hard to end stuff like that, and I'm really glad that's the direction they went with. It was fantastic, and I would love to see a Reach remake. I don't know what the general public sees Reach. Not many people seem to have liked Reach as much as Halo 3, unfortunately. So I doubt we'll see an HD remake. But I mean, I think it was a smart move on their part to do the Master Chief Collection, because it kind of explains why, from Halo 1 to 4, how Master Chief kind of got to where he is now, so that they're all caught up for Halo 5. Because, like rumors suggest, it could be possible that Master Chief is the antagonist. The fact that they've named it the Master Chief Collection kind of implies that it might not be the Master Chief that you're going to be playing in Halo 5 or in the next Halo. And there are a lot of evidence that kind of suggests that right now. I don't know. There's a lot up in the air. I mean, I could be wrong, but the way that I forget her name. I'll call her Bonnie. I don't know her last name. The way she described the new Halo, she kept saying about how he's kind of self-searching, defying authority, kind of doing his own thing. It kind of implies that he's no longer really paying attention, especially no longer addressing the UNSC, kind of denying them. And it sounds like Agent Locke, the other guy on the other side of the Halo 5 cover art, seems to be hunting him down. And this seems to be the case where it's like they seem to be you may be playing as Agent Locke trying to hunt down where Master Chief is. I don't know.
I haven't played Halo 4, but I'd be interested in that. Sorry, Aimal.
No, it's cool. I was just saying, guess we'll find out in that regard. That being said, in regards to the Microsoft conference, I guess to wrap up the Microsoft part of this talk, what did catch my eye was Crackdown 3. I don't know if you guys played the original Crackdown.
Ooh, so good.
That's kind of all I got to say on that subject, really.
I've actually never played Crackdown. The problem with Crackdown was that I think the only reason Crackdown sold was because it was like a beta, I believe, for one of the Halo games.
Fuck you.
I'm sorry.
Correct, man.
It was one of those games where if you worked in retail, you got a lot of people coming up like, they'd come up and they'd buy Crackdown, and like being the person that sells them, like, oh yeah, this game's awesome, like play it, it's so good, and they'd be like, man, I just got the Halo 3 beta, and be like, fuck you, play the game you just bought.
Sorry, Evan.
But to recap on what Crackdown is, if anybody wants to play those games, they're really fun. They're basically GTA with all the cheats turned on and then on steroids.
So like Saints Row 4.
Except almost more so, because Saints Row like breaks all barriers. Crackdown still keeps it somewhat realistic, so like it basically just like they kind of like turned gravity to really low, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
The only problem, though, is that Crackdown 2 is the same game with zombies.
Pretty much.
So like even the collectibles and stuff were found to be hidden in the same places. But Crackdown 3, I think they're rebooting the game, but Crackdown 3 looks awesome. And also, if you can play Crackdown with friends, oh my god. It's online cooperative Grand Theft Auto with cheats.
Wait, could you in Crackdown 1? I never got a chance to.
I'm fairly certain you could. It might have just been a mode that you could be online, but that's the only mode I played.
Oh,
So I still loved it.
but yeah, no, everything about it was just yeah. So I mean, if they can do anything like that good with next gen console power, I will be very very impressed. And knowing Microsoft's money hat, they might as well, or they might just be able to.
Yeah.
Before we jump onto the next conference, I wanted to just point out how, after looking at this list of games that you listed here, I'm wondering if what Microsoft is trying to do, I think they're trying to make the Xbox One the one-stop shop console for all your online shooter needs, right? Because if they have all the Halos, and then they're definitely going to get all the Call of Duties and Battlefields and stuff, right?
Oh, MLG.
It's not I mean, I know Xbox 360 already had that, but it didn't have, like Halo 2 and stuff. So now I would not be surprised if a bunch of people I know literally just bought an Xbox One, bought the Halo Master Chief Collection, and then like buys every Call of Duty every year, and then just does that, right?
Well, that already happened with the Xbox 360, so to an extent.
Actually, that's a good point. Actually, now that I actually think that's a very plausible thing, because I remember the way they were advertising Halo 5, the beta was like, oh yeah, full out arena and stuff, and competitive and stuff. Halo 4 seemed to be missing that edge slightly. I see them gearing towards it, but I guess it's because 343 was still relatively new. They never really made it to the circuit, and they never really ended up becoming an MLG game, and Call of Duty was very dominant as the shooter of the choice. But I think I can see where you're coming from, kind of just taking all of the competitive stuff. Like 360, without a doubt, had complete control of being competitive console of choice.
First-person shooter that wasn't Counter-Strike.
Right, yeah. I definitely can see that. That's actually a pretty good point. I actually didn't notice that before.
Because this could easily, just for the price of $470, you can replace any need of online shooters for your Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Right? And then you just got to buy the new games that come out every year, which is it's not bad.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Anyways.
All right, so let's move on to EA's conference. Evan, you said you didn't watch it, or did you?
I watched a bit of it. Like I watched, I watched up to the UFC Bruce Lee edition, and then
you stopped at a good point.
Yeah, and then I think I had a meeting at work or something, so I couldn't really continue watching. But yeah, that's what I saw up to. Yeah. What's Dawngate?
Dawngate is basically a MOBA. They say it's not a MOBA, but it's basically a MOBA. I wasn't really too into it. It was kind of just, eh.
Yeah, I don't know. The EA conference, and I mean, I guess the Ubisoft conference as well, just kind of felt very stale from the news that I read.
I'd say. Okay, well, keep going.
All this stuff was kind of expected, at least for me, right? Like, none of this stuff really surprised me. I mean, a new Mass Effect, I guess, was kind of cool, but it was all just kind of like, oh yeah, a new NHL, a new Madden. There's
Golf has a Battlefield format now?
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a ship. I don't know. It all just. I mean, it's not that it was bad. I mean, all these games I'm to a certain extent excited for, but none of it really just kind of. None of it blew me away. As in, like, oh my God,
I can see where
this is amazing, right?
Okay, so all right, Alex. Since you watched the whole conference, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Evan. I think the EA conference, I feel like they tried way too hard. They had like all of these like over the top like crazy scenes that didn't really impress me that much. I mean, like, it's difficult for me to even look at this list and pick a game that I think they did well. I mean, Battlefield Hardline was like probably their best one. I'm glad they saved that till last.
I mean, even in that case, it was like we already have seen gameplay footage of it. We already know pretty much what it is, and now it's just kind of like, oh yeah, beta access. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
See, how did you guys take the fact that something like Battlefront and the new Mass Effect and the new Criterion project, clearly these are games that aren't even like displayable at the moment, and yet they instead of them actually presenting any demos or any trails or not showing at all, they're doing this thing that I've never really seen before. It's kind of like a diary entry by the developers, kind of just doing like an interview that you'd find on YouTube, except they're presenting it at E3. How did you guys find that kind of style? I think that's definitely something that's new, but I don't know. What did you guys think?
I spoke too soon. I totally forgot about the Criterion Project because, oh my god, I am so excited.
That looks sweet.
Did you guys play Burnout Paradise at all?
A
A little
bit.
bit, yeah.
Oh, that game was so good. That's like
yeah.
I hate racing games, and I played that game so much. And Criterion, they know how to make the I don't know how to say it, but they're awesome. They're awesome.
Yep.
Fuck, I'm so excited
Pretty
because
much.
I don't know if you guys remember, but when Burnout Paradise initially came out, they started coming out with a bunch of DLCs, and one of them was like bikes, and then they came up with like another island and stuff. And when they were actually in talks about making another DLC, I remember there being a couple press releases about like, oh yeah, we're gonna add planes to the game. Right? It's like, fuck, like really? And then that kind of fell off. So I think after Criterion had their whole run-in with Need for Speed and stuff, I think they kind of funneled their. This game really feels like their complete vision for what Burnout Paradise was supposed to be, right? Or what the completed Burnout Paradise was.
So what do you think this is? Is this like a multi-vehicle racing game? Is that what you... That's what it looked like to me, because it looked like... It honestly looked like guys were jumping from like gliders to like ATVs, and it's like, oh, so they get to basically start with parachuting, land on a vehicle, then swim the rest of the way or something. Like it's honestly like use any means necessary to get to the finish line. I'll be honest. At first, I was like meh, but the more I looked into it, the more it was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So I guess you're completely on board with this diary entry with the developers project kind of thing. What do you like? How did you?
Well, I'm interested in it for something like this, where we had no idea about the game. This is a completely new project from a developer that we've seen content from before. But in the case of like Star Wars Battlefront, they're just like, oh yeah, we've been working together with LucasArts to remake things from the movies, and it's like, okay, that's cool. I appreciate that, but I don't think that should be at E3, right? Like, why is that taking up conference time that could be spent on, I don't know, more talk about anything, right? Like, EA is a huge company. Yes, Star Wars is important, but eh.
But I mean, like, on the other hand, though, we got to see the like first in-game engine footage, and that looked gorgeous.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of like eh. And I laughed at the Mass Effect diary entry because I remember someone saying, "Oh man, when they basically make all the employees at BioWare work without lights on."
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about these new entry things because I mean, like, they're incomplete games, but at the same time, it's like you said, the Criterion Project was something nobody knew about, and you know it panned out pretty well.
It was at least an announcement, right? It was at least something that a company put out there, and then they can get feedback on how much people are excited with their game. I mean, like, nobody needs to know how excited the world is about Battlefront or Mass Effect.
Nope.
You say those names, and everybody's just like rock hard, ready to play.
Yeah, I could kind of see where you're coming from with that. I guess it's only effective. It's like a well-known developer making a new IP. I think that's probably the only case where you would want to do something like this. I think, yeah, I definitely agree that like the Battlefront and Mass Effect kind of segments of it were, I mean, maybe they could have just showed us some screenies about the new in-game engine stuff, and they'd be like, "Hey, we're doing this." Because I last time I heard anything about the EA conference, they promised us gameplay. I was told gameplay. I was so upset when I didn't see any of that.
And when somebody mentioned, yeah, we're making a new Mass Effect, my eyes were glued to the screen for some sort of anything, and then it was just like, and then all of a sudden they started talking about, oh yeah, we have another team making a new IP, and I'm like, all right, so you're just making a new Mass Effect, like
That's great.
Okay.
Oh,
cool,
no. It's so everyone except for Casey Hudson is working on Mass Effect, and then Casey Hudson himself is leading a team working on a new IP.
Cool. cool.
So I don't know. How that's weird. Maybe it's the Star Wars IP. Who knows? BioWare still
new though.
but I mean, like, would it be considered a new IP if it was a new game that's Star Wars in a different kind of universe?
I think some people might classify it as that. I don't know. Because, yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah. I mean, like, where do you draw the line with new IPs? It's like if you're reusing previous material, but like have a completely new kind of saga kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't really think so.
You go ahead.
No, sorry, I've talked a lot. Go.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing about the Criterion project then in that regard, because it's still the same company, same, I guess, sort of thing with a different twist, but they're not gonna call it Burnout Paradise or Need for Speed or whatever. So, does that classify as a new IP?
Well, I mean, it's a bit different with Burnout. I mean, it's the Criterion project because it's more so like, oh, we're doing something completely new. Mechanics are completely different. They may or may not reuse the assets, but I mean, like, it's even if they do reuse it, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, they use that in Burnout Paradise. Like, what a bunch of cop outs. Like,
do that in Call of Duty.
Well, everyone calls them out on that one. I mean, those are pretty evident. But I mean, like, say for instance, if like say like here's the new Mass Effect, for instance, for sure, it's like a prequel or a sequel. Oh, actually, no. The new Mass Effect is a pretty bad example because it's declared a prequel or sequel.
Yeah.
Let's say they make a new game in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
The only thing they're reusing is potentially known Star Wars names,
or maybe planets, or
maybe planets. That's about it.
Yeah.
Would that be considered new IP then?
That's what I was asking, kind of.
Well, I mean, because another example of this is if you look at the old Jak and Dexter games. So there was Jak and Dexter 1, 2, and 3. And then they made Jak X Racing or whatever, right? So they just made
spin-offs kind of thing.
So is that? I definitely don't think that's a new IP. So I mean, I guess I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think new IP would classify as a Star Wars game.
Okay.
I guess you would have to be completely new then.
In that case, we would have no idea.
Yeah.
So damn it.
And also, I have no idea why he wouldn't say we're working on a Star Wars game. Like. That would freaking...
That's true.
Yeah, it's not exactly hyping anyone up if you're just saying, oh yeah, new IP.
Also, where was Visceral on the Star Wars game? What the hell? They shouldn't... Yeah. I was like, because they were doing so many diary entries, I'm just like, okay, Visceral has to show us something. Maybe Amy will come up and be like, yeah, here's the script of the new, the new Star Wars game that I'm working on right now. Nope.
Yeah, right.
You left Uncharted for like... I don't know, 2 months, 3 months now. haven't finished anything yet. Come on.
Yeah.
No, ideas are worth their weight in gold, don't you know?
Oh my god, she better be there next year. She's not gonna be so upset. All right, so I guess.
I was gonna say before we move on to EA, why don't you tell us a bit about Battlefield Hardline since you said you got a chance to play it? Look at that face.
Oh man. So, okay, here's my impression of it. It does not feel like a new game whatsoever. I do not justify the $70 price line at all, period.
Should it be a DLC then?
It should definitely 100% be a DLC. It is honestly a retexturing, and it's honestly like a mod, to be quite honest. It's
new game mode.
It's a new game mode, a new I can't justify it to be but I am not going to lie though, it is so much fucking fun. I kid you not. The one thing I love about so I didn't play the Blood Money mode. I played the Heist mode, which is the one that got debuted at E3. And so the sequence kind of starts with both the trucks flipping over. I thought as criminals we would stop the convoy first, but I guess they do it for us. I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean I guess it's balancing because it's more fair for the cops. I mean, actually, it's also more fair for the criminals because if the cops get there first, criminals will never get a chance. So basically, the criminals spawn by the armored trucks first, and then the cops have to make their way, rush towards the trucks. The criminals are already putting C4 to blow the doors and such, and then after that, it's basically Rush. It's like Rush with a mix of Capture the Flag. Right. So It's Rush because you have to get to... Yeah, you run on tickets. So the criminals run on the limit of 100 tickets, I believe. and one respawn is equal to one ticket. Whereas the cops have infinite tickets. They basically they can basically respawn as much as they want. So criminals lose if they run out of tickets, but if they manage to get their bags to the specified drop points, then they win.
Right.
And I find that it's actually pretty balanced. I was a bit worried because I was playing as criminals all the time, and the criminals and cops, and I always find that every time on the criminals, they always win. So I thought it was a balancing issue at first, but then I played it a bit longer, and that's when I realized, oh, my team just sucked. Because I started playing a bit more quick matches, and I realized that, yeah, it's good. The one thing I really enjoyed is the fact that all the action is always around those bags.
Of course.
I've never found a moment where I was like, wow, I have to run for like forever before I can find any action. Like it's pretty good. I also like the new leveling system that they have, because I know if anyone's familiar with playing previous Battlefield or even COD for that matter, basically for you to unlock gun attachments is for you to get kills with each gun. And so say for instance if you get 10 kills, you unlock the silencer or you unlock the holographic. This game, instead of unlocking specific attachments, you unlock attachment types. So basically you get 10 kills, you get like a star. 20 kills, you get 2 stars. Depending on how many stars you have, you will unlock a specific attachment type. In addition to that, you get money, so you can buy the attachment that you want. And I found to prefer that over traditional types, because it's like, why am I going to need a red dot? I don't want a red dot. I want a holographic. I'm never going to use red dot. What's the point? So I find that this is an optimized way to kind of say, like, you can have anything you want. You have to earn that type first.
Right. Well, that sounds awesome. I did see the money difference, and that did look quite outstanding to me too.
Yeah, I was really impressed by, like, because I'm always a big fan of like city kind of fighting kind of thing. So I was really interested to play Hardline. I mean, cops and robbers, always fun stuff.
Yeah, and an urban environment too, as you said. But $70.
$70. It doesn't feel like a $70 game. I feel like I'm just playing a remake of Battlefield or whatever.
How would you compare this to? I don't know if you've played it. I haven't either. Payday.
So the difference between Hardline and Payday, because it's going to be an uncanny resemblance, that people are going to be like, oh, this is the new Payday or whatever.
$70 Payday.
I love Payday 2. It is undoubtedly the most cooperative game I've ever played. I mean, without, with like losing one person, you really kind of lose it, and it's like you have to have coordination and stuff. It's a lot different, because Hardline, it's like 32v32. Criminals are on the loose, like wild. Cops are like it feels nothing like Payday 2. As a criminal, you get like people escorting you. As a cop, you kind of have to like chase them down and stuff. I mean, like they're both different. I didn't feel like quite as a criminal as I would in Payday 2. In Payday 2, I actually felt like I was robbing a bank. I actually felt like I was stealing stuff. In Battlefield, I felt more so like I was basically committing anarchy. It was more like a rebellion more so than committing a heist. I felt like 32 criminals versus 32 police is a bit of an over-exaggeration. It felt like more like a terrorist kind of attack rather than a criminal attack. So, I mean, that's how I feel. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's, people are definitely going to make that comparison, but I felt like, it actually felt more like a heist in Payday 2 than it did in Hardline.
Fair enough.
One last thing. Sorry.
Was there like how were the teams in Hardline? Like, did people actually cooperate? Because I feel like that'd be a game that would just like piss me off.
Yeah.
Driving looked really important, and I feel like I'd be like sitting there like getting driven away, and the guy would just crash into a pole and I'd fucking die.
Surprisingly enough.
Battlefield 4.
Yeah. Surprisingly enough, the moment I grabbed the bag, cars were coming from everywhere, like ready to pick me up and drive me to the drop point. People are very competent in that game. I'm surprised. I don't know if it's because the beta people were just happen to be competent, but I feel like because it's so objective heavy kind of game that people really want to win, and that's how they win. And like, I actually basically what happened was the guy with the bag was going up the elevator, and it was closing in front of, like, it was just closing like right in front of my eyes, and like he gets up before I could like follow him to escort him. He literally typed on squad chat, said sorry, and I'm like, wow.
Wow, what the hell?
I'm like,
That's
wow,
that's messed up.
that's a change. Like, the community is actually what it is right now is actually pretty good. I feel driving is definitely very important in the game. The helicopter, I find like the two most important thing is the mobile command center. That's the one thing I hate. People who do not know how to position mobile spawns properly. Because people are just like driving the mobile command unit. It's like right in front of the criminals, and it's just like, here I am, and like I just see like the criminals just like circle the mobile command unit, just waiting for the cops to spawn. And like the moment one guy spawns, it's like public execution. It's just like, okay, I gotta drive this thing away. People just need to learn how to put the mobile spawn. That's the only one complaint about have people on the community itself. The graphics were basically Battlefield 4. I was running it like what, 80 to 100 FPS. I ran it a lot faster than I ran Battlefield 4 on Ultra. Didn't really look that impressive. It was, but I mean it's beta, so
still in beta. Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, it's fun. I would love to play with friends. I think having maybe I think the difference between Payday 2 and Hardline is that if you have a squad of 4 or 5 people with you playing Hardline, then it probably feel more like a heist. As a single player person playing it by myself, it didn't feel much as a heist.
Pubs, yeah.
Basically like playing Battlefield 4.
It's actually exactly. It's like playing Battlefield 4 with a different like skin, different game mode.
The Metro map instead, or the equivalent of the Metro map in BF4, because it's all urban.
Yeah, basically.
And we'll pick it up on the sale and have some fun with it.
All right, guys. So let's.
I feel like I would actually want that game to replace Battlefield 4.
I agree.
I would have more fun playing that game, but definitely the $60 price tag. If it was priced more along the lines of Payday 2, that'd be phenomenal, right? Like, I don't know.
No, understandable.
And the worst part is like it's one thing to say like. So Battlefield 4, they immediately announced like premium, all the DLCs and stuff like that was on alongside Battlefield 4. Hardline, there's nothing about DLC. There's nothing of premium yet. I don't know where this game is headed, because if it's just a $70 for just those game modes, it's like even less of a value.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens with it too, right?
Yeah.
It is still a beta, like you said.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's move on to Ubisoft.
Oh, Ubisoft, right. We totally missed those.
All right, so Evan, how far did you watch in Ubisoft?
I really didn't get any of it, but to be honest, aside from Valiant Hearts, Rainbow Six, Shape Up, I mean,
Far Cry 4!
Far Cry 4.
Yeah, no. What I was gonna say is all of these things were seen in other conferences.
Oh yeah, no.
That's true.
Right, so like I still saw Far Cry 4 in Sony. I still saw most of the stuff everywhere else. So I mean, as much as I didn't actually see it, I feel like I've gotten a good idea. So this one felt a lot better than EA to me, just because as much as well, again, I didn't actually see the conference. Did they show Far Cry 4 footage? And
they showed the first 5 minutes, which is basically like the introduction to the criminal or the villain, or sorry, the main antagonist basically, which was really interesting. Yeah,
so I guess I don't really have much to say about this then, because I mean the stuff that really blew me away was the stuff that I saw was the Far Cry 4 gameplay that I saw in Sony's conference, right? Like that was the cool part.
Yeah.
I mean, the villain in Far Cry 4, that's fine, but I mean, I'm gonna play it, right? Like I want to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it felt like Ubisoft kind of sold their gameplay to actual console people.
Yeah. And
they kind of just saved like they just gave themselves trailers. But I mean, like, I don't know. What did you guys think, Alex? Aimal?
I think they definitely had like the worst conference, just because everybody already presented their games or gave better demonstrations of their games. Like the only original one they had was like Just Dance and The Crew. Like,
didn't they were the only people to show Rainbow Six.
Were they?
No, Sony showed Rainbow Six.
No, they did not.
Oh, true.
No.
I don't think they did. Because I watched the entire Sony one, and
Never mind. Yeah, I completely forgot about Rainbow Six. I mean, if they didn't have Rainbow Six on there, that would have been like a really bad conference.
I think the only two big games that they had that were only them was Rainbow Six, and then they showed Assassin's Creed gameplay in this, but I don't think they showed it in the Microsoft one.
No, they actually showed that the Division and Assassin's Creed were at Microsoft.
And I mean, I feel like personally, I feel like I don't need to know anything more about the Division at all because we saw it last year.
It was
We've seen gameplay now.
It was pointless now. Like it was like the exact same thing I saw last year.
Yeah, that was the problem with
canned like friend talk as well. Like, oh, go to your left, go to your left.
I hate that.
God, come
scripted
on.
stuff is terrible. But I thought like the only cool thing about the Division thing, like I thought the kind of like visualizer thing was cool, where they could like see what happened at the train station like 11 days ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they could see like the havoc starting and stuff like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but Ubisoft didn't really have much to show because they kind of gave all their big guns to like everybody else, and they kind of just saved themselves for like the stuff that nobody else really wants to show, like Just Dance and Shape Up. But I mean, like the trailers were pretty emotional. Like they showed they saved themselves for the best trailers. Basically, is what happened.
So one thing that let me Ubisoft. So one thing that I mentioned last week in our in our episode that's never going to air is that I felt like Ubisoft makes the same game and then just keeps on renaming it. Like Assassin's Creed is Far Cry 3, but instead of guns you're using knives, and then Watch Dogs is all those games, but instead you're using hacking, right? And I feel like it just kind of proved it more so, right? Because Far Cry 4, I mean, as much as it looks awesome, it still looks very much like that. I can easily see the Division kind of turning into something like that as well.
Yeah, like I definitely saw like basically when they were demoing in Microsoft when they were saying, "Oh, I need to capture a base of operations." All I could think about was you telling me about like how Assassin's Creed and like Watch Dogs and stuff started doing this tower thing, or even Far Cry, for instance, as well. They had the tower thing that they have to unlock
all
and
of their
stuff.
games do identical.
Yeah.
They all have towers, and then the towers unlock various random side missions in the place. And then whenever you get the tower, there's also unlockables that you get. Now all their games seem to have some sort of
and actually,
base that you have to go and attack, like the Far Cry 3 and like the
little outposts.
Yeah, outposts and stuff, right?
What's even funnier?
They all do the exact same thing.
What's even funnier is that Watch Dogs has the moment where like criminals kind of they act on something, and then it's your job to kind of like stop them. Mm-hmm. I saw that exact same instance in Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's actually really funny.
I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but actually, I think it was Games Radar that actually wrote, because when Watch Dogs came out, they wrote a Watch Dogs review, but one of their writers actually wrote a side review that was just called the Ubisoft Game Review. And it's this review, and it just structurally says like, "Oh, these are all the things that are in a Ubisoft game," and reviews them, and it's like, so just copy and paste the name on top of this and throw it out whenever a new Ubisoft game comes out. I think it was Games Radar, but I'll double check on that.
Yeah, no, I think what Ubisoft generally does with their new games, it's like they keep all the old mechanics and then they add one new mechanic. That seems to be like what seems to be happening right now, and I definitely can see that in Assassin's Creed Unity. But I mean, I think Rainbow Six is pretty cool.
Well, we didn't. To be fair, we didn't see single player of Rainbow Six. It could be identical to that.
I would.
Man, I would die laughing if all of a sudden I'm playing Rainbow Six and it's like, go capture the tower to unlock side quests.
I would not be
like, oh my god.
Open world Rainbow Six.
Open world Rainbow Six. That'll be the day.
Yeah.
Open world Rainbow Six.
That'd be amazing.
If it's Ubisoft, though, it might just be another Far Cry 3, but with soldiers instead of like bandits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll see.
Sorry. There's not much to say about the Ubisoft review, just because, as we stated before, it's all in the other conferences.
Yeah,
so
it's all
trailers. Just move on to another conference.
But I mean, like, are you guys excited for Rainbow Six?
Well, I mean, from what I saw, yeah, but like I got hyped for Watch Dogs, and that didn't turn out so well. So
true.
I mean, Watch Dogs never looked how they were showing it before, right?
Watch Dogs went from my must-buy list to my I'll probably pick it up on a Steam sale 2 years from now list.
Exactly.
This was lost in the last episode, but I am incredibly surprised that I am more excited for the new Wolfenstein than I am for Watch Dogs.
As you said, yeah.
Once I have to write an exam next week, and once that exam's done, I'm going to buy Wolfenstein. I'm not going to buy Watch Dogs until probably the Christmas sale, when it probably goes on for like $30.
Kinda,
Right,
yeah. Or more.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just don't.
Right.
And I mean, like, there's still a lot of optimizations that they still need to do. I mean, I'm on a 780 Ti and it's still choppy. I'm supposed to run it at like what?
Yeah, I know. I saw
All
you.
of the
I
frames.
saw you hitting like 15 frames per second.
It was the stupidest thing
That's
ever.
terrible.
Yeah. So there, without a doubt, it was even with the delay. I'm surprised it was rushed. I expected a much more polished project. Also, they said something about the trailer. They're like, "Oh yeah, if you notice in our trailer, you started seeing some like sex trade going on. Sex trade's going to be very important and like a crucial part of our story and stuff. And that's why we also delayed the game, because we want to add more mechanics to the story." I was playing it. It was one mission, and I'm just like, that seems pretty pinnacle in the story. I'm confused, but okay, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a bit hesitant to get hyped about like any Ubisoft games these days. I mean,
Yeah, it's a very tricky, it's a very slippery slope right now. They're not in the best light right now, and everyone seems to be just jumping on a Ubisoft hate train. I don't know if you guys heard about the Assassin's Creed Unity.
I've hated Ubisoft for a long ass time, so I'm a Ubisoft hater hipster.
Hipster hater.
Congratulations.
You
man.
can be the president of that
I'm
club.
so disappointed in myself that I just said that.
You can be the president of that club. So
Yes.
okay, so I guess before we run out of time, we should probably move on to Sony. I mean,
Oh,
Sony's
that's fun
got
stuff.
a lot going on for them.
Everything.
Okay, so everything was awesome.
Everything was
Actually,
awesome.
so I'm not gonna lie. After watching this conference, I felt like Sony really did a poor job. But now looking back at it, I'm actually Destiny alpha that I'm gonna play this weekend. Little Big Planet 3. I'm not a Little Big Planet fan, but fuck, that looks awesome. Bloodborne looks great.
No
That Far Cry
Man's
4
Sky,
gameplay
please.
was co-op Far Cry.
I'm okay with that.
And did you guys hear how the second player doesn't even have to own the game?
Yep, I heard about that.
Wait, what? I missed that part.
So basically,
Yeah,
PlayStation 4 players exclusively can have if one person owns Far Cry 4, you can invite another friend, and they don't have to own the copy.
That's ridiculous and awesome.
Freaking amazing! Grim Fandango, awesome. Dead Island 2, I loved that trailer. And also, for those who don't know, Dead Island 2 is being made by Jaeger Studios, so my
That's
dick
cool.
is hard. Rock hard.
I did see you miss Magica 2 there. What's up with that?
It's
what kind
there.
of like subservience and inequality is this? Come on, man.
I
Magica
mean, the
2's
gameplay,
there.
the gameplay looked exactly like Magica 1. It was just the
Yeah, but it's
trailer.
Magica.
The trailer was great.
But it's Magica.
Yeah, okay, so Magica was good, and it was innovative, and it was amazing. But I want... Honestly, if Magica 2 is just a more streamlined... Oh, so streamline's the wrong word. A better programmed game. Like, I don't know how many times that game crashed on me and
I
just
remember that.
lagged and died. Like, so I'm excited for it, but I just... Magica 2 had too many problems that actually stopped me from playing the game.
Yeah,
Right,
that happened
so-
here too. But it was-
I have a lot of beef with Sony with regards to their conference there. I'm not
Why not?
pleased that, like, usually these things go for like an hour 30, and they stretched it so far. And their conference would have been so much better if they eliminated the Ratchet and Clank movie, B, showed us a trailer of The Last of Us that wasn't spoilers. Because some of us are waiting to play that game, and then all of a sudden, all we see is, I'm not gonna say anything anymore. I'm just gonna say I saw some things there that made me leave the room, and I was like, I need to forget what I just saw.
Good luck with that.
They spent so much time talking about things that weren't games. I felt like they
The
definitely should have.
entire-
They should have
the
taken more
entire,
notes
like,
from Microsoft there. Like, their conference would have been so much better if they didn't have like that extra segment to talk about things that was not games related.
That entire middle section of just like here's numbers and we're gonna talk about like
Oh
that
my
powers,
God.
like superhero thing. It
I
definitely killed the momentum. Definitely.
I am very happy the way Phil Spencer answered did their conference. Basically, start with the president, developers nonstop, and then end on the president. Nothing about, because like the whole thing was like majority of people already have the PlayStation. Like the people that are interested in the PlayStation 4 already have it. So it's like, here are reasons why we're better than everybody else. And Microsoft is just like, we wish you everybody the best. Here's what you can do on the Xbox One. It's like,
which is surprising because it was backwards last year.
it was exactly backwards last year, which is why
but then we get stuff like No Man's Sky.
is that a PS4
That game
exclusive?
looks incredible.
Oh my god.
I want that game already.
Oh my god.
I think he got hard all over again.
Is that a PS4 exclusive or?
I hope not.
I think so. I actually haven't heard anything about it.
I think it's
oh,
PC and
man.
PS4, but I haven't heard anything about Xbox One.
Like, if that game does exactly what the trailer makes it look like it does, like,
Allegedly.
I don't even know.
Allegedly.
No Man's Sky is making a console debut on PS4. So that means that it's coming to PS4 and probably Xbox One later, if at all. So that means it'll also probably be out on PC. But man, that game, so I think that the guy who's making that game, I forget what company it is, but they also made Joe Danger, I think, which was a PS3 exclusive.
Oh.
This
guy's experienced then.
It's Hello
I
Game.
think-
Yeah, Hello Games. Yeah,
That's
they're
all the games.
That guy was a flawless idea to put him on stage after that trailer to just express his feelings towards game development.
Yeah, it was like really genuine. Like you could tell that he like really loves his creation.
And he's just like, I just want you guys to love this game, and like I was like, man, that was that was amazing. I loved that.
yeah.
So good.
I wasn't a big fan of the letters. The once you guys brought up the feeling thing,
Yeah,
and
what- sorry?
then I was reminded about the I forget which CEO it was, but he was just reading letters from like random people about PlayStation and how fantastic things were. I wasn't digging it too much, but I did like, the No Man's Sky developer was really good.
I can't even believe like the transition from like space to planet in that game is just like ridiculous.
And then you see like him like shooting asteroids, and then there's like this big space battle going on, and you're just like, oh
what the
my.
fuck? It's everything I want.
I know. It's what I want. It's what I wanted Starbound to be.
That's exactly what yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually.
And then the one sequence where like they're flying away with a fleet.
Oh my god! And then they just go on to another planet, and just like, I want it now. I want it now.
It's actually what I want Star
Great,
Citizen
right?
to be, but I don't know if that's going to be the case.
What you want? What to be? Sorry.
Star Citizen.
Star Citizen.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I forgot about that game.
Yeah, that's why
Okay,
like
forgot about
when
it.
I saw No Man's Sky, I'm like, this is basically the poor man Star Citizen. But I mean, like, I definitely see strengths and weaknesses between both games. I haven't heard anything about Star Citizen exploring planets at all, which is why No Man's Skies really caught my attention in general. Anything space sim related is automatically on my list of things to be watching for, and like that
Agreed.
transition between planet to space just reminded me so much of Battlefront, and it just gave me some feels about when I saw the leaked demo of the alleged Battlefront 3 before it was canceled.
Yeah.
So seeing that, being able to do that, it's very empowering.
What did you guys think about the Arkham Knight gameplay?
As a person who's never played any of the Batman
need to
games,
How are you alive?
Stop recording this podcast right now and go fucking play those games.
let me
Serious,
finish.
Okay, fine.
The moment I saw that trailer end, I immediately went to my Steam library and started downloading both Arkham games.
There's
They're
hope yet.
so good, and man, that game looks fucking amazing.
looks beautiful.
The Batmobile looks very well executed.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like they did everything that a sequel needs to do, like as a baseline needs to do, of speed up all the mundane things in the previous games, make the game look like they just made everything better essentially, right? Like traversing through the vents was faster. You're not necessarily like I want it.
Well, we all do. That thing we can agree on.
And
now
the
Justice League got
animations
first two.
on the Batmobile when it was turning, like the flaps that came up,
Ooh,
and
Yeah, it was sweet.
That was
Sorry,
that was
I'm
beautiful.
I'm gushing.
My only concern is if the Batmobile is overpowered.
What do you
Is there ever a lose state with the Batmobile? Is what my question is.
Well, so you haven't played the original Batman games, and in the Batman games, it really, really made you feel like you never had a lose state. Right? The entire game was based around you feeling like the alpha predator, right? And everybody else, you were literally playing a game with the people.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Uninhibited.
you never really had a Batmobile before, so I mean, if Batman stood still in a fight, I'm sure he would lose health, and then you would die, though, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think this is. You're not gonna. I doubt you're gonna be able to like bring the Batmobile into buildings. And,
Yeah, I
like,
guess that's a good point. Yeah.
Right. So you still like, and those were the hard parts of the previous games. Like the open world areas were more so just kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of these like 20 guys,
Kinda.
right? While this time it seems like we're just gonna ignore that and focus
Go from-
all the actual
Go
gameplay
from fun
stuff.
part to next fun part using a fun thing.
Yeah.
aka
Exactly.
Batmobile.
Fair enough,
exactly,
fair enough.
Right? And the Batmobile has a fucking cannon on it.
Yeah, serious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Shooting shit with the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that Rocksteady actually brought a like life-sized Batmobile to E3?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
All right.
Well,
so
it's
good.
something they've done before for like the. Whoa, never mind. Rocksteady didn't. I was gonna say the Batman folks do it for whatever movie
Yeah.
is big at the time, right? But that's first time for a
Yeah.
game, so that's pretty cool.
And
about-
sorry.
But, oh no, but I was gonna change subjects.
And I was just gonna say that one thing that Rocksteady has been definitely vocal about doing is how they're working together really closely with DC, and you know how the Arkham Knight, they got to create the hero, and they're working really closely to make sure that
Yeah.
this is Batman canon, right? Which
Yeah.
is, as a guy who reads a shit ton of Batman,
You said
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up with talking about Nintendo Direct. I don't know how many of you guys have watched it. What do you guys think?
So I'm excited. Every single thing on this list kind of makes me skeptical, except for Xenoblade Chronicles. That really makes me want to buy a Wii. Bayonetta does as well, but everything else is like Hyrule Warriors. I'm not sold with yet. The New
Yeah,
Legend of Zelda looks really good, but it's not.
it's too early.
Yeah,
way
like
too early.
yeah,
Splatoon was cool.
yeah, it was. Yeah.
I'd be definitely interested to kind of try that out. I don't know if you guys saw it, but basically Splatoon is basically an inked-based shooter. So basically, two teams would be assigned a color, and then you would shoot that ink all over the floor, and then you would use like basically if you were a certain color, you can turn into a squid and quickly traverse through the battlefield in
Oh,
your own kind of
pretty cool.
ink. So there was a lot of interesting mechanics to that. I think Nintendo did decent enough to kind of convince people. Also, the entire thing was done with Robot Chicken.
Yeah, that was amazing. I do kind of feel like Nintendo's kind of given up on E3 a little bit. The fact that their conferences on a different day, first off, and the fact that they've also kind of reduced everything to like a lot of videos and stuff now.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Um,
their conference has always been like on the second day, though, as far as I remember.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask. Is it always on the second day? Okay.
Yeah, they were.
But
yeah,
I
they-
mean, they've fallen from the initial like, I forget what year it was, but Shigeru Miyamoto coming out with a Hyrule sword the Master Sword and the Hyrule Shield, right? Like that was phenomenal and epic, and they've fallen so much from that, right?
Fair enough.
I feel
think-
like they've just kind of they release things on their own time and they don't care anymore, right?
But I think like they've really kind of brought things back up to the silliness. I mean, if I remember the previous Nintendo Directs, they were just really serious business, where it's just the president just talking about stuff, games were being shown. This is the first Nintendo Direct that was like the least professional, I would say. And it's actually kind of like I think they were kind of gearing back to that kind of silliness. They were kind of making jokes about, where the crowd in the Nintendo Direct crowd, that's all Robot Chicken, complaining about the new Star Fox or like Mother 3 and just other things. And they just kept making
or
jokes.
Or even the video with all the CEOs fighting each other.
Yeah.
Like,
so I mean, like, I can see, like, I think more so it was the fact that maybe they're just trying something new. And they kind of feel like they don't want to limit just, to really talk about things at E3. They want to just kind of basically, I don't know, kind of release things, like you said, kind of at their own leisure, to kind of just be like, oh, I feel like we should release it this time. We basically have complete control of what we want things to do. So I don't know. I could see where you're coming from that, but I mean, it's not like they've really lost anything.
well, I when I say I feel like they've given up, I don't necessarily mean that they've lost all hope in E3 and they're going to stop coming. I just feel like they don't necessarily put as much effort into it as Sony and Microsoft do, right? Like, they just kind of go like, oh yeah, E3's a thing that's going to happen. We'll announce some stuff, like we'll say what we need to, but for the most part, we're gonna play it. We're not gonna go ham hard, right? Which is definitely something that it's not a bad thing or it's not a good thing. It's just the way that Nintendo has gone, right?
Fair enough. I do wish I'd actually gotten a chance to see the conference itself.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry, the Nintendo part of it. But based on what you're saying, you are right. They have gotten, like, I guess, way of putting it would be pretty lackluster over the years. This kind of, fuck you all, we'll do what we want when we want. Even though it might be costing them sales a bit here and there.
Well, I mean, so one of the big things that they announced right now is the Mario Maker, right? So it's a game, I think it's a game that they're putting out, and it just allows everybody to make Mario levels.
Yeah.
So, because Nintendo's very much a company that we all kind of lose hope in them, and then they stand up on a stage and go, "We're making a new Zelda," and then everybody goes, "Fuck! I need to buy the new Nintendo console now."
Yeah.
Like they very much have that ability, which I mean, Sony's kind of game, like every company has their game. I mean, Sony's got the Uncharted series, Microsoft's got their Halo series and stuff, but I feel like Nintendo has a part of every gamer that's just like, it's like, whether it's, they release a Metroid, or they release a Zelda, or they release a Fire Emblem or a Mario game.
It's a very good way of putting it.
There's a game that Nintendo can release, and it will force a small section or a large section of the gaming audience to buy their console.
Exactly.
Right? Like, period.
I think
It's already happened a bit with Mario Kart 8. From if the internet is any,
And I think it's just
Exactly.
really evident that Nintendo is excellent at making games. Period. If you look at any of their first party games, if you count the amount of first party games they have, they will basically outnumber Sony and Microsoft combined, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's true. Sony's been doing a lot, right?
But I mean,
And
like,
also-
if you told me to name Sony first party games, the first thing I can think of is literally either Uncharted or God of War. And unfortunately, that's all I can
I
really.
only think of God of War.
Well,
Oh, you
that's
could
the
even-
weird thing about Sony. See, Sony has a weird thing with first party, right? Because Sony as a company owns a bunch of studios,
True.
right? And they get these studios to make first party games. They're just exclusives.
Ish. Yeah.
So while Nintendo actually legitimately makes games, like they make the Mario games. Well, so I guess technically Sony doesn't really make any games, but they kind of do.
I mean, like,
online entertainment is not the same thing.
I mean, I'm already stretching it by giving it. I mean, Naughty Dog is more or less a Sony company.
True.
I don't see them ever releasing anything else.
So here's sorry, I'm just gonna send you a link of Sony Computer Entertainment, which has all of the studios that they own or sort of own. Weird, because Insomniac's making a game that's not Sony. So
Santa Monica. Yeah, Naughty Dog has always been a very loyal friend of.
Yeah.
But I mean, Insomniac has been loyal to them forever. But I mean, they're making Sunset Overdrive.
True.
It's true.
Yeah, it's weird. All right, Killzone. I forgot about Killzone.
There we go.
Here come
Like
the games.
Yeah, and then there's tons. There's Sony arguably has like a shotgun approach to their first party titles, right? Because I mean they got Infamous, Jack and Dexter, God of War, Uncharted.
Infamous. There we
You
go.
go to a wall and compared to the 360, the PS3 definitely, absolutely, no questions asked, has more exclusives. Period.
Well, yeah.
Undoubtedly, yeah, I'd say so. I mean, 360 only
not
really
even
had.
just a little bit more, like a ton more.
Yeah.
I
Sony's
definitely can
got-
see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
And Microsoft's got Halo, Forza. That's what everyone knows them for.
Yeah.
Gears of War.
What was that last
Yeah,
one?
Gears of War, and then they've
Oh,
also
my
got
bad.
like Lost Odyssey. They've got a couple like other really small ones, but the Gears of War, Halo, Forza are definitely those are Microsoft's franchises.
Yep.
While Sony's got tons.
Everything
Yeah,
we just mentioned.
Sony's got definitely, but I'd say like even like those two combined, I'd say Nintendo has quite an arsenal of first party games.
Yeah,
Yeah, they definitely do.
that's fair to say.
Okay, so I guess let's just
We
wrap
missed-
things
I
up.
just realized we missed so many games with the Sony conference. We can talk about them.
Yeah, I want to talk about Mortal Kombat X, but that's okay.
Sorry?
I mean, I want to talk about Mortal Kombat X, but that's okay.
No, let's talk. Let's. Does anybody need to go? Are we strapped for time here at all?
Nah.
I'm good. What about you, Alex?
I'm good until like 11, but no later than that.
All right, that's cool.
So, let's talk some more about the Sony conference because we missed a lot of games. I want to talk
Yeah,
about like
we
Order
gotta-
66, Little Big Planet 3.
Sure. I actually was very impressed with Little Big Planet 3. I'm not gonna lie, that thing was adorable.
It always is.
And as much as we were talking during the division about how we don't like, canned friendly conversations and stuff, Little Big Planet 3 is that presentation is exactly the reason why they do those canned, conversations, because when that game was playing, I don't know if you guys noticed, it's like, I'm gonna do a wall jump. I'm gonna like it was bad. It was pretty bad.
I mean, if you
how
compared
silly.
the swearing in that versus the Ubisoft conference swearing, like Aisha Tyler was just dropping those words like so fast.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Sony conference was like they had good quality games showing, but they weren't showing them properly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as we mentioned, yeah.
Yeah. I think my one friend like summarized it pretty well, is that Microsoft might be leading the way of how conferences should be, because the Microsoft conference was genuinely far more interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, you wanted to talk about Mortal Kombat X?
Well, I wanted to kind of bring the topic up for discussion. I don't know if you guys are heavy into fighters or care about them at all or anything.
I play a shit ton of Smash Bros.
Fair enough.
Shit ton of Smash Bros.
Shit ton of Smash Bros.
Got it for
That's
3DS. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, you mentioned. Now, I can see Mortal Kombat 9 was a refresher for me, and then came Injustice like right after that. I was like, oh, this is actually fun. And then when I saw Mortal Kombat X, like the regular trailer, they said that he had a huge announcement planned, and they talk about it at E3. I was just like, I personally was blown away, because I felt that they finally breathed some life back into the franchise, because nobody seems to care about Mortal Kombat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's all Street Fighter and Injustice, and I was like, oh, this is actually surprisingly worthwhile. I mean, I don't know how heavily scripted that was, the main trailer, or
they've shown a lot of gameplay later on in E3, and it definitely
Right.
it looks awesome.
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like the initial trailer, I'm not sure how much was scripted, but like what we saw at E3 just kind of made up for that. And
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
excuse me, it's just like the whole interactables, the different fight moves, and just the originality of it all. I don't know what they're going to do with their characters. I don't know what they're going to do with their storyline. It's just the idea that it's not a stale Mortal Kombat game. That alone makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like I kind of grew up with Mortal Kombat, with like 3, 4, and then the Deadly Alliance stuff on PS2, and then up to 9. Just bought it in the Steam sale, whatever.
Jesus, you're a die-hard Mortal Kombat fan.
No, I'm a diehard Command and Conquer fan. So are you?
Right back at you.
Yeah, no. Mortal Kombat 4 was back in the days of like when Pakistan, where it used to be, sold legitimate games as pirated games, and we didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
So I bought this shitty little CD with like color printed art on it, and I played the crap out of Mortal Kombat 4. That was like my childhood right there.
Cops come out of nowhere. We're confiscating all your goods. What are you
No,
talking
I
about?
Canada, so it's all right. Yeah, and then like one of the first games I bought for my PS2 was Deadly Alliance and then Armageddon, and I was just like, wow, I really, really like this universe, as cheesy and over the top as it is. So it was, it struck well with me. After seeing the last couple of iterations, which were just like, blah, what the hell is this, right? So it's basically like I don't even know about it too much. Just it was worth watching, and it looked beautiful.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It's kind of
I
all
think
I got on it.
That's one thing this entire conference also kind of pointed out was how much. So yes, games last year at E3 looked gorgeous, blah 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 blah, but it really kind of shows you how much having an actual final copy of a console can do to the presentation of a game, right? Because I mean,
Absolutely.
all of these games that are now kind of officially next gen only games are, and also that's another thing. No PS3 or Xbox 360 was mentioned at all.
Yeah,
during
yeah.
any of this,
Yeah,
right?
it was, man.
Wait, what?
GTA 5, PS4 or Sony conference, man. Yo, did you?
Oh yeah, that's one thing you didn't
Yeah,
put it
that
on the list, Chew.
I
That was-
Put it on the list.
Okay, that was messed up. How I think they messed up there when they were like, oh yeah, like you can port your PS3 or Xbox 360 save over to the PS4 version of GTA 5. Like I don't think I feel like they should not have mentioned the 360 during their conference, but
Well, no. Because what they're doing is they're saying that so the PS4 has more sales than the Xbox One right now, right? And the Xbox 360 has a lot of people out there. So what they're saying, and also it's not your actual save, it's your GTA Online save,
oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
right?
Yeah, profile and stuff.
It's because like a lot of people from the 360 side jumped to the PS4 side.
Exactly.
So they're just saying, oh, if you've ever previously owned a 360 and now you have a PS4, don't worry about it. You're all
Yeah.
good.
We'll be
But I
loyal
mean,
to you no matter
one
what.
thing they didn't mention as well is that, I mean, your 360 and PS3 save is also going to transfer over to PC and also going to transfer over to Xbox One. But,
Yep.
I mean, Sony announced it, so why would they say that?
Absolutely. Marketing.
Yeah, exactly, right? But that was one thing that really... And also the fact that... So, I just wanted to point out that... So, Microsoft showed Assassin's Creed. Microsoft now has Insomniac working for them. And Microsoft showed a Platinum Games game.
Mhm.
And GTA, which is normally a Microsoft game,
Yeah.
showed on Sony, which is
Like
really
Rockstar itself.
Sorry?
Like Rockstar itself, generally, that universe goes to
Yeah.
Microsoft first, which means, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely merged together a lot better, and now they seem to be floating more Sony-wise, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
I was really surprised that they're the ones that got to give that information out.
I was also surprised as well that like Ubisoft there was 2 Ubisoft games that showed up at Xbox and 1 at Sony, because last year Ubisoft was all buddy with Sony, and then all of a sudden they started showing
Sony always gets the exclusive content, yeah.
Yeah, but then now all of a
Now
sudden Assassin's Creed Unity and Division were shown at the Microsoft conference.
Remember the Microsoft money hat you were talking about? That probably has a little to do with it.
Yes.
I
maybe.
think I don't know. I think maybe just the fact that Phil Spencer was now the head, and maybe they had a good talk with these people. I mean, like Dominic Matrick is still not a fan. I'm still not, and the fact that he's CEO of Zimbra, I mean, or Zynga, whatever it was, it's like I'm sure he belongs there with all those guys. Not a big fan of that company either.
Right. But
Anyways.
every one of us is safe to say looking forward to GTA 5 on whatever next gen console you want, right?
PC.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it because I've been holding off on that game until this announcement, and
Same
now
here.
Yes.
Because like we knew it was coming,
Yeah.
and we knew it was coming on E3. It's like there's that little bit of doubt, and now it's at least gone. Because now it's like set in stone, and the mods and everything else.
All right, so let's wrap this up with just a final conclusion. What were you most
We need
impressed
more
by?
time to talk about the games, but yeah, there's no time.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not much time, and I figured that us talking about what we're most impressed by is inevitably going to end up talking about a game, anyways.
Exactly.
As it
So what were you most impressed by in terms of conference wise, and did these conferences kind of sway you to buying their console?
Am I gonna start again?
Does anybody want to start? Yeah, anybody they want to start off with first? I guess Evan, if you have a really strong opinion.
So for me, sorry. So for me, Microsoft and Nintendo actually, I already have a PS4, so I don't need swaying there. So Microsoft and Nintendo actually kind of gave me a bunch of reasons. Oh fuck, we didn't talk about Evolve. So Microsoft and Nintendo really swayed me to both want to buy a Wii U and an Xbox One. I was really impressed with Microsoft's conference. I was really surprised about who got to make what announcements at this. I was really going to the other side, we've already kind of said this. I was disappointed with EA and I was disappointed with Ubisoft. I think overall, this E3 was kind of disappointing. I think that's also just because of the high that last year's E3 was. I mean, announcing new consoles was ridiculous, right?
Can't really beat that.
Well, I mean, for me, it was more so, they've talked nothing about consoles. All right, cool. Now we're going to see the new arsenal of games that are going to be shown at this year's E3. And basically, instead of getting an arsenal of new E3 games, all I got were diary entries of, games that are not even finished yet. And,
also...
Yeah. And just I don't know. And I think it was an all right E3. It wasn't necessarily. I thought it would be probably the best because all the companies would start just rolling their gears, pumping out games for their new consoles. But I mean, not as fast as I thought they would be. They're really slowing things down.
It's also last week we had I keep on mentioning this episode that never happened, but we were doing E3 predictions, and one of the predictions I made is that all the games that we were going to see are games that we already knew about, and
for the most part, yeah.
I mean, yes, that we got a couple new announcements, but for the most part, I mean, all of these games we had an idea that were coming out, like even the Halo Master Chief Edition, like that had been
leaked so hard,
basically leaked,
Yeah.
and that was kind of Microsoft's big holy shit, you want to buy our system now. And a lot of this stuff, I just feel like there was no surprises this year. Everything was just kind of status quo, which is not what I expect from a year after a console release. I kind of expect people to be like, oh, here's all these games, and here's these new IPs, and maybe not necessarily full flat-out gameplay footage, but at least kind of here's what we're doing. And a little bit more than just, here's what we're doing, fade out to black. Right?
Yeah, so I guess, yeah. What about you guys, Aimal, Alex? Any of the conference? What were you most impressed by? Which conference? Did they sway you?
I agree with. I didn't watch the Nintendo conference, but reading about the Nintendo conference, that, how could I not buy a Wii U after that? There's so many things that I want on there. The Sony and Microsoft conference, I mean, I'm kind of tired of the whole I don't care about exclusive games, but I'm kind of tired of the whole exclusive content thing. I don't really like that. How I can only play Far Cry 4 without a game if I'm on the PS4. I can only play certain levels in Batman if I'm on the PS4. I don't know, that kind of thing bothers me, and I don't know.
It's that sense of incompleteness.
Yeah, it doesn't seem fair to me. I get console exclusives. I'm fine with console exclusives, but I don't like exclusive content. And I don't like that. That's what the whole Sony conference felt like to me. Is oh look, we have this exclusive and this exclusive and this exclusive content. The number of times that they said exclusive was just, I don't know, it just really pissed me off.
Yeah.
Only on the PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think they do kind of need to do that though, because I mean, so a lot of us here have PCs, and a lot of us here, I mean, probably aren't going to. I mean, I'm going to buy them just because I'm a video game nut. But I mean, you guys said that you don't really have an interest in buying the PS4 or Xbox One necessarily. I mean, maybe a slight interest, but I think I think the only way, I mean, if Halo was being released on PC, you wouldn't want to buy those consoles. Like, they have to have these exclusives to get you to buy the system, right? And also, in some cases, these systems are the only way that these games can really. I'm not going to say that because that's incorrect.
That's fair.
Well, I mean, like something like Uncharted, right? Like they designed that for the PlayStation, right? Like Uncharted 3 is designed specifically to look that good on the PS3 because it's utilizing every piece of hardware because they know exactly what the PS3 has. You can't necessarily do that on a PC because the entire market's different, right? If you try to utilize every piece of, like, say, a 760, in a year, nobody's going to have 760s anymore, so your game isn't going to function as well, right? While on a PS3, you know everybody's PS3 is the same, so you can do it exactly the way you want it to.
But that's not entirely the case, though, because hardware does change. Like, I noticed that, like, launch 360s and newer 360 remakes were different in performance. I remember I was playing...
Very little, though.
I don't know. I was lagging on Halo 4 when I had my 360, and then eventually when it gave up, I bought the Halo 4 Xbox 360, and that ran like butter smooth. So I'd say it's a solid almost 15 to 20 FPS difference.
That might also just be due to the, like, because I mean, if your 360 was about to die,
yeah, actually maybe. Maybe.
I mean, yes, I do know that they do slight increases to overall, more so just kind of like bug fixing. But I've never, especially with my PS3, I've never found my PS3 to ever have issues running a game that wasn't the game's fault. Like,
but I
the
mean,
new Batman Origins was just a badly designed game, right? Like it just lagged and it just stuttered a lot, right?
But I mean, I feel like PS3 went the other way. I mean, they had like the complete package, and then they had to kind of downgrade it along the way.
Well, Sony's always done that, right? Like even with the PS2, they had the PS Fat and they went down to the Slim, because they make this beast and then they just try and kind of like, all right, how can we reduce costs? Oh, let's make it a plastic outside instead of fucking titanium.
Yeah.
Right, like.
All right. So, what about you, Emma? What are you most impressed by of which conference, and did any of them
I'm
sway
actually
you?
piggybacking off of what Alex said quite hard. I did not get to see the Nintendo conference, and yet the way they present their stuff, and what they talk about, just their choice of games, plus the fact that their console is a bit cheaper, would make me want to get that, because it's basically PC for my hardcore serious stuff, and Nintendo for all the silly party stuff with people kind of thing. That's how I personally have always seen Nintendo, back from the N64 till, well, now, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
like, they cater to the right crowd, is what I mean.
And I feel like it's like Nintendo actually has things that you can't actually do on the PC.
Exactly.
So I mean,
exactly.
like that just kind of like dumps more fuel to the fire. And you know what? I completely agree with any of you guys. I am actually swaying so hard to Nintendo. I was very close to getting a Wii U. Like I saw it, just
and
like.
We were talking about this at the last never to be released podcast. Considering it is the cheapest one, but it's still just a bit too expensive.
Podcast. Yeah, I don't think I changed my mind too much. I mean, Xbox One, I really just want Halo, but I mean, Wii U is definitely something I'm gearing towards. And the moment Nintendo releases, whenever Wii U phases out, the new Nintendo console is definitely like the number one thing on my mind.
So
and it is going to be just as innovative.
Is this answer alongside with, who you think won E3? Because
I guess it kind of is, because
there's always fairly a clear winner based on the conferences, right? Do you guys think Nintendo won E3?
I definitely have more laughs with Nintendo. I felt it was much more entertaining. The CEOs, we respect them, but they're also really down to earth, and I really felt like Nintendo, even as if they've really not at E3, they were at E3, and
they're very forgivable.
Yeah, Robot Chicken was a very good move.
They fuck up.
Yeah. I think Nintendo did the best out of this year. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I go with Nintendo. I mean, I didn't even see the conference, and I'm going with Nintendo. So,
based on what you guys have said, there wasn't all that for Nintendo, but considering when Sony gets railed, they get railed hard. Like I said, Nintendo's a lot more forgivable. They're a lot more in our hearts, so I'd say them too. Because, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with Microsoft. I think that Microsoft had overall the best flowing conference.
Oh, trust me, they're a close
they-
second for me.
They nailed.
how to work.
I think this was pretty much the best thing that Microsoft could do after last year, right? Like they lost hard last year, and I think that they hit all the right notes. They maybe could have talked about more new IPs, but I mean they still hit everything that. I mean, we didn't even talk about Inside, right? The fact that they got the Limbo developers, a new game based on that. I mean, we won't talk about it, but like they hit everything they needed to. They had the Witcher 3 gameplay in there. Like, I think Microsoft took it home this year.
I'd give them
Nintendo definitely did good, and Sony just kind of fell flat on a couple areas.
You know how back in high school there's like the best student award, then there's the most improved award? I'd give that second one to Microsoft.
I agree, 100%.
Like you said, they tanked
Without
last
a
year's
doubt.
E3 this year
Without
they
a
were.
doubt.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
All right, guys. So that's it from us.
That's kind of why it was close.
All right, so I guess that's it from us. I haven't planned an outro yet. Thank you for joining us on this podcast, and hopefully for next time we'll think of a better outro.
Bye.
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 Evan, where's your outro?